Hello everyone, my name is Lanso90 and welcome to Let's Play Oxygen Not Included. This is a new game that's coming out on Steam pretty soon here. Well, it's sort of on Steam and not on Steam at the same time. It's very weird. I followed a YouTuber's store page linked to Steam, and I could buy it off of that link, but if you go to Steam itself and search for it, it says it's not available yet. But what I did, it installed onto Steam, everything's fine, so... I don't know if it's available for you or not. You'll have to just try, I guess. But let's start a new game here. This game is made by Klei Entertainment. They're the people who made Don't Starve, and I think they're the publisher of Darkest Dungeon. I don't think they made it themselves. I think they're just the publisher, but I could be wrong on that front. But let's start a new game. We'll talk about more about what the game is as we... Oh! It crashed. It is in early access. There's a chance the recording software is messing with it. We'll try one more time. I may have to, like, stop the recording and then start the new game and then end the recording. We'll see what happens here. Probably gonna annoy people that I'm logging in and out of a game. I wish there was a way to tell Steam to not do that to people. Alright, we're good though. So, we get to start with 3 people to start with. They're called duplicants. It's because they are clones, apparently. But, so let's see what we're looking at here. These are their stats, of course, which just indicate how fast they can do a skill. So, we have the first person here who's good at digging, which is good. Tinkering, efficiency when operating machines, that's pretty decent. And strength gives her more carry weight, which is generally good. If it can and will fall asleep anytime, any place is her negative trait. And her positive trait is mole hand. She gets extra digging ability, so I guess she was only a tinkerer, and then this has increased her digging ability. I'm not sure how bad that negative trait is. If she falls asleep for really long periods of time, that could be really bad. So let's see, this guy is extremely bad at learning, and he's good at digging. We'd have a little bit of overlap here. Now this character, takes them a little bit longer to poop, and they move as quickly underwater as they do on land. That's not really going to help us that much, but she has a construction bonus. So I probably want to re-roll one of these two. Since they have overlap here. I'm not too worried about him having slow learning. I think I might re-roll her, even though the tinkering is actually not too bad. Because you have some tinkering speed here. Yeah. I'm sure how sure I'll her, just because I didn't know how bad, well, this person could do it too. This guy has a bonus to learning, though. Which means he could be just really good to be our scientist. I think that will be alright. Then they also have these decor expectations. I've been ignoring this for the most part. I don't think it's super critical quite yet in the game. This is very, very early access. It might not even be, like I said, it's not exactly even early access. We'll call our colony, as I normally name my random ass things. I'm gonna call it the John Cena colony here. I can name these characters. I'm not gonna bring out the YouTube list for this one. We have Darkest Dungeon going. I'm sure we're gonna go through plenty of names on that game. And I will get back to niche as well once we get to it. The crew is awoken miles beneath the surface of an unfamiliar terrestrial body. Oddly, they have no recollection of how they got here. It might be best to start digging. Alright, so let's begin. I'll pause the game to start here. So we're underground, in this 2D kind of Terraria kind of look here. And the main theme of the game is there's lots of fluid dynamics management. And what that means, see there's oxygen in this room. If I scroll over it, it says there's oxygen in here. In this room there's like water. These all have oxygen actually. And this is a vacuum. There's no gases in here. And if we could go even farther out, we can't see too much farther out right now, we'd see that there's other kinds of gases that can fill these rooms as well. So it's all about managing those gases in these rooms and not running out of oxygen. And that's why it's called oxygen not included, because we'll just run out of oxygen if you're not careful. Our start in this game, I have my concerns about this start. So what I'm concerned about is we don't really have any algae nearby. We have a little bit. The algae is this green stuff. And it's really important, especially at the start of the game. But there is a big deposit down here, so I guess we'll have to get down there relatively quickly. But what I do like about this game compared to my my last round, all these spaces were filled with hazardous gases. These ones all have good gases in them. So that's much appreciated. So we need to get everything on the go here. We do have someone who's good at digging, so that'll help us out. So yeah, I do want to get to this. We need to plan our base out. Don't have to, but I'd prefer to get things set up in a way that seems nice. This is a food plant here. There's also some food plants up here I might want to get to. In fact, there's an oxygen generator up here, so I might want to dig up to that as well. There's lots of food down here. Interesting, interesting. We have lots of options in this game. I didn't have as many options in my last round. Well, we need to build a space for their beds. I like to try to keep that separated from some of the other things. And we need a place to like research stuff and just go through our daily business. I like to try to keep that separate because it produces a lot of heat. Lots of little things that we have to manage in this game. The game's not very hard, for the most part. It's actually pretty forgiving. But it can snowball control really quickly if you're not careful. So what I will do, I'll knock this down. I'll actually make it 4 spaces big. I made my spaces three spaces big last time. Then I found out it's a little bit useful to have a 4x4 space. And we need a place to put down a ladder. Not sure if I'd rather have it like over here or over here. I'll just put it there. Now I'll get them started going in that direction. I'll also tell them to line this out so it's 4x4. And our beds, I'll dig out space for them up here. Lots of dig orders. Hopefully it won't overwhelm everyone. And they'll get started using their No Man's Sky lasers. So, now we're getting some materials. We can actually build some things. So to start out with, I'm going to put this ladder in. So we're going to need it. Because eventually stuff gets out of reach of their No Man's Sky lasers, and then they need to have ladders and things to make sure they can get to them. I'll speed up things just a little bit. No reason to micromanage our resources quite yet. You can see like we have our foods here. Kilocalories. Everyone needs about 1,000 calories a day. Roughly. So we're good for now. It's stored in this little container here. And it's also keeping track of these other things we're mining out as well. So we'll just let them get started. Just the first things we want to get done is we need to build a bathroom and we need to build some beds. We have a few places we can get water from. We have this area here, which we'd have, if we want to access this water, we're going to have to go above it. Right now. Eventually we'll gain technologies that allow us to move water around and stuff, but we can't do that yet. Or we can get it from here and we'd just be pulling it up. Or we can get it from up over here as well. Less mining we could do, the better. This area is probably pretty good because I would like to like mine out this algae and stuff around it as well. this does take a while to mine through, so yeah. I wanted to mine through all this to get down to this. Take a while. Plus, that is a huge supply of water. So if I can save that for late game, when it might be a little bit nicer to have like a substantial supply of water, that'd be nice, I think. I might turn off some of the digging orders here, because I'd like them to finish these rings before the day's over, really. We can get started. Get them 3 beds. I need to figure out where I'm going to put the toilet. The toilet produces contaminated oxygen and stuff. So I like to kind of keep it separate if I can. But I don't know where separate's going to be in this specific circumstance. Let's see. At the start of the game, we don't have much of an ability to keep gases from intermingling with each other. You can see we have this pneumatic door here, but it allows gas and liquid to pass through, so it's not useful. It's just a door to, I guess, just kind of trigger that this room is an enclosed room. Even though it's technically not really enclosed. It doesn't do much for us to do that. So we don't really have a way to separate whatever we dig into from the rest of this base, other than just trying to keep our distance from it. I think I will take us out this way until we're right up against... Oh, this is sand. This is going to degrade over time. I think. Trying to think of where... Excuse me. Because as I was talking about before, things can just snowball out of control. So if we can try to think about what we're doing before we mess up too bad, that would be ideal. Really like it to be down over here, I think. Okay, I guess this is fine. I was planning to do before. We can build tiles, so I can kind of customize our living space if I'm over digging or something. So one of the reasons I built my beds up here was I wanted to get more access to this oxalite. So we're getting more of this oxygen pouring in. This material is basically just a temporary way to keep us getting oxygen until we can produce our own. Which is nice at the start of the game here. So that's what we're going to have to use for now. It's just tutorial pop-ups. Says we need the toilet still. Bada bing, bada boom. There's the outhouse. No fancy toilets yet. And our duplicants don't have jobs, other than the one who's building right now. So, I'm going to build some storage compactors for them to put stuff in. Continue onward. We'll also want to break into this so we can get to this meal wood. And other plants and stuff that's nice for us. Oh, yeah. For some reason the storage compactors don't start autofilling. I guess I can understand why. It's so you can tell it to hold specific things before people start throwing stuff in it. But I don't know how critical that really is. Alright, so we have 21 kilocalories of food. It's saying we need a food source. We have 21 kilocalories. Oh. Shit. That's what I was worried about. So the water is pouring in through here. Oh man, am I gonna ruin our game already? So I could replace these sand tiles with regular tiles. What that's gonna do is it's gonna break the sand out first, and then put the tile in, and that might cause a catastrophic flood. So I think, unfortunately, I have to deconstruct this. It says we refund all resources, so I guess it's not the end of the world. You can... When you click and drag to build, it'll cover everywhere you go instead of being like in RimWorld or something where it doesn't trigger until you release the key. This one is triggering all the time, if that makes sense. Whoa, that's a lot of water. Put this island, please. Alright, made a mess. That was my bad. I realized that earlier, and that's why I didn't do that, and then I went back in and did it anyway. Alright, tell them to mop up that water. I don't know if we're gonna store this water. Or if it's lost forever. It's probably lost forever. Hopefully that's not too bad. Now we have to build the stupid thing again. Plumbing. Outhouse. Alright, so you can see there's these purple bars filling in underneath them. And that is their ability to breathe, actually. We can turn on this overlay. It's our oxygen overlay. You can see it says very breathable is this light teal blue, and it's like around this thing has pretty good air. Regular breathable is just blue, which is more like this air here. And then this is unbreathable, just because there's not enough oxygen. And right now, the only source of oxygen we have is these oxalite. But we're going to try to fix that. You can see it takes a while for it to drain down, so it's not like an emergency, and they can hold their breath. So they'll be alright for now. Man, we don't have much metal yet. Lots of stuff that we can't build yet. It's throwing me off there for a second. I was like, why can't we build this stuff yet? Don't have any metal. Alright. So with that in mind, we're gonna have to build this ladder higher up. Then I want to dig out all this. Well, that one lets you click and drag without selecting everything, but the dragging out some of the other stuff doesn't. We could also break into this room. We might as well, because it produces its own oxygen a little bit. And now everyone's gonna go to bed. You can see one of the oxygen tiles has disappeared. These fade away over time. So that's why we have to get our own oxygen going. Unfortunately, we did not get the bathroom up and going, so we might have some trouble tomorrow. What I'll do is I'm going to increase the priority on this. It's the opposite of the priority system in RimWorld, strangely. Where the higher the number, the more important it is. I accidentally dismissed my after-action report there. We can also look at it here. We consumed 2,366 calories. We removed 120 oxygen out of the air. It doesn't say added, so I don't think it counts these things, pumping oxygen in. And stress, everyone's way more stressed out. And the other stuff doesn't matter quite as much. Okay, so we need to get metal so we can get things actually going here. Not quite as successful a day as I had on my game by myself, but we had this little disaster here. This tile broke? Or is that just the effect of this sand being broke? Stretching over onto this tile. I don't know. Now it says we need food source and oxygen generator. So we have some work to do today. That's why we're mining the stuff out. We need metal. Right now the only form of metal is copper. Oh, she's going back to sleep again because she's in narcoleptic sleep. I don't need to see how long this lasts, because I'm wondering if that's like the most horrible thing in the game. Doesn't seem too bad. Everyone's gonna eat and poop. So we got contaminated dirt in here. Is that contaminated soil? No, that's just regular dirt. Let's see if on the oxygen overlay, it doesn't look like we have any toxic air coming out of that yet. It might just be the compost pile that produces nasty air that we'll have to deal with later. So for now, that's just fine where it is. We need to get our metal going. Do we have any yet? Yeah, we started to get some metal. So here's what we're going to do next. Now, I'm going to build a manual generator. Shit, I don't have enough metal to build the other parts of this equation here. This manual generator is how we're going to get power. One of our duplicates will ride on the generator to produce power manually, like a hamster wheel. Of course, we don't have anything to power quite yet, but we will shortly. First, we need a battery, but don't have the fastest miners in the world. Alright, here's our battery. Wire them together. Yeah, we really need copper. I don't want to mine into this because it's a vacuum and we don't have a way to produce oxygen yet. But unfortunately, we will have to at some point because we need copper. But overall, I think vacuums are a little bit better than some of the other... Well, they just are better than the dangerous gases. At least as long as you're producing oxygen, it'll go in here. As opposed to breaking into something bad, you're going to be pumping horrible stuff into your base. Excuse me. Okay, so power, we're going to use it to power our research station. Begin with here. The game wants us to build oxygen first, but I'm going to build a research station first. Because the research station can give us some better options for oxygen production. There is a faster speed to play the game on, but I just want to keep it a little bit slow just in case I miss something and mine into something horrible or something like that. I'm going to want to be able to jump right on top of that. We can harvest this. Also harvest these things. And we also have this new oxygen crystal here, which will help us out. This one's still degrading. It should be alright for now. Yeah, you can see there's a higher level of oxygen in here. It's kind of going to pull out this way. It is getting a little rough down here. We do need to get our oxygen going relatively soon. Research station in. Let's see. Research station. We should probably build one of these. Now the reason I'm building all these things kind of next to each other is, for one thing, they all need power. So if I can just string them all together with one power cable, that's nice. But they also all produce heat. So I'd like to keep all the heat in one spot so it's not really spreading through the rest of our base. However, this will make their work area extra hot, so I don't know if that's necessarily the best idea in the world itself. I'm gonna have them build... I don't need this one. Ladders through here. I'm gonna have them build tiles through here. That'll be good for now. Tiles give a little bit more decoration for the colonists, but it also allows you to run cable through them. You can't do it through the hard rock. You can do it through the empty space as well, but it's just kind of nice to have it nice and tidy under the ground. I'm sure in the future there'll be other reasons to do it too, like maybe if water spills on cables it'll cause a problem, and if you put them under the tiles it'll be alright. There we go. Call that up. Alright. Once they get all that set up, they do. Alright, now we want to put a research in. So the research tree is, I think, where I made my mistakes last game, so I'm going to do things a little bit differently this time. We have all these first level technologies here. They all require regular science. But there's also future science that costs intermediate science, which we can't do that quite yet, but we're probably going to be rushing that a little bit sooner than I did the first time. We definitely want to get farming, because this allows us to build algae terrariums, which are really awesome. But they it says they take in carbon dioxide and produce oxygen, but I don't know if they do that for sure. I think they might just produce oxygen right now, but I could be wrong. But we'll see. There's also the compost pile, which allows them to turn their poop into fertilizer, which we'll want for the planter box, which we can grow plants in. And then these other ones, I don't think we really need them quite as much as I prioritized them the first time. There's gas vending, which lets us move gas around. And there's liquid piping, which lets us move liquids around, like water. Power regulation, which gives us like a bigger battery. Interior decor, which improves people's moods. I wasn't having much trouble with people's moods. As long as you're not treating your colonists really bad, that should not be too big of a problem. Power isn't really important other than getting to the next level of power, really. Otherwise, the hamster wheel thing works pretty good, actually. Liquid plumbing, as long as you can plan your base out, you don't really need to move water around. Gas piping is the same thing. As long as you can plan your base out, you don't quite need it so much. You definitely need to start with farming. But I think next, we might go for sanitation sciences. We'll have to do liquid plumbing, of course. But getting this decontaminated oxygen filter is going to really help us out. There's also an airlock here. Creates an airtight seal that maintains atmosphere and pressure between areas. Oh, that one runs on power and this one doesn't. Okay. Yeah, we definitely want to do that next, technically, but we're going to have to do liquid plumbing after this one to get there. That's fine. With that done, we'll tell this research station to fabricate science infinitely. Now we should actually prioritize our guys like we would in RimWorld. So we have these different characters and they all have better things that they're good at and things that they're not good at. Combat's not going to come into play, I don't really need to mess with it. Cooking, they all suck at it, so really anyone can do it. Art, they all suck at, so really anyone can do it. This guy's the best at composting, but that's not really coming into play quite yet. This guy is our best researcher, though. So what we're going to do is, I might leave combat on since this is not going to play, but I want him to not cook. I don't want him to do art. I guess I'll allow him to compost just because he can pretty well. And then his next priority is going to be learning, or doing science. Meanwhile, I'm going to turn off research on these guys, especially him, because he's actually bad at it. This way, this guy's the only guy who's researching. Either of these guys can cook. Since he won't learn, I don't know if do you actually have a negative modifier to learning here? Ooh, he does. That's really shitty. I should have probably re-rolled him for that reason. It's because he's like never going to be better at anything because he can't learn. Since he can't learn, what I'm going to tell him to do is not cook or art either, just so that this person who can learn at least better than him, even though she's level 0 learning, since she doesn't have a penalty to it, it'd be better for her to try to gain the skills in it. Turn off her research, of course. She has a better athletic skill, so she should also be person 2, ride the motorbike if she can. Everyone should just have digging on for now. We might specialize a little bit more later, but I think for now they're good. Excuse me. Main thing is just to get that guy researching. Sufficient oxygen generation. I'm not sure I agree with them, because we are going to be producing oxygen a little bit more reliably now that we have this. We only have three people so far, so I don't think it's going to be too bad. Look at the oxygen levels. Things are great all up in here. There's carbon dioxide down here. And really, I think the biggest early problem in the game is the carbon dioxide. Oxygen is less the problem than carbon dioxide, strangely enough. If you watch the Martian, that actually makes sense. Like they say that in the movie too. It's getting rid of carbon dioxide that's the hardest part, not the oxygen itself. So we consumed oxygen. I don't think it's too much though, and we only just got this thing working towards the end of the day. So I think in the future it'll be fine. We didn't produce any food still, but we're okay. So on and so forth. We still have 20,000 kilocalories available to us, or 20... That's actually incorrect how they're displaying it here, isn't it? Because they're saying it's 20,000 kilocalories, which means it's 20,000 units of 20,000, or 20,000 units of 1,000. But it really is, it's 20,500 calories. But we're out of time for this video, and since it's nighttime, this is a good part to end it. I hope you all enjoyed, and have a good day.